Are we live?
We're live.
All right. What's up, everybody? I think I might have missed my mark there. Apologies in advance. Thank you all for being here on another installment of our weekly live film reviews. Jay, how long have we been doing this now? Is it like 3 years? 2 years?
I think it's 2 years, but we kind of weren't that consistent with it for a little while.
That's true. We're off and on a little bit, but the last couple years, we do what we can for you all. But last couple years feel like
we've tried to do a good job. Yeah. But I will say, like 2020,
we had like the 5-month break where you guys were redoing your studio, I think.
Yes,
and we were just kind of in here and there.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We work in a crazy business, and then some weird stuff happened in the world. So
true. But we are here. This is many weeks in a row at this point, and we've got some great films for you guys. If you are new here, or if you just want a refresher, real quick rundown of what we do. We're reviewing films submitted by you guys, our subscriber base, people in our Facebook group, on our email list, what have you. And if you want your film reviewed, you can follow the link that is pinned at the top of the chat. It leads you to our website, and you just submit your film there. Also, be sure, of course, you're subscribed, be in our Facebook group, stuff like that always helps you know when we're going live, know when to submit your films and stuff like that. And we've got an interesting one this week, Jay, because we are doing films that are entirely supplied this week by our YouTube members.
Yes, Members Week.
Yeah, so members get a priority in getting their films reviewed, and occasionally we'll do something like this where we are filming or where we are reviewing only films from our members. And membership starts at just $5, so you can click the join button if you want to join as a member. Helps this channel out, helps us do free stuff like this, behind the scenes videos, tutorials, all this other stuff, all this other content that we're putting out with no paywall. To help you make better wedding films and run a better wedding film business. And so we're going to dive into these reviews. We're going to do a handful of them. Maybe we'll squeeze in one more. We'll see. But the way we do this, we're going to watch it through its entirety, or up to 5 minutes. That's kind of our limit. And then we're going to talk about things that we like, things that we think the filmmaker did really well. And then we're also going to talk about things that we think they could improve on. And we're going to focus, one or two things each that we think are going to have the most impact to kind of take that next step on their next film.
Yeah, we always say, like, it's important to be able to take where you are and get better. And we're not judging someone based on, some, sculpting with time standard. We're trying to look at where you are and help you get better. So that's why we want it to be something that everyone can learn from, though. So if you're listening or you're watching, we'd love you to weigh in as well.
Yep, definitely a community-based thing. I mean, ultimately, we're all here to get away for an hour or two. Maybe you're still editing on a side screen, but hang out, get out of the editing.
Every time I've tried to edit with anything playing, it doesn't go well.
Maybe you have two computers set up at your desk and you're editing on one. You've got your iPad next to you to watch our stream, of course, because it's Thursday at noon. And, yeah. So first wedding up, are we ready to go on
Yeah,
this
we're
one,
ready to
Jack?
go. We're ready to go.
Cool. So first wedding that we are reviewing. Also, I heard we might have a guest appearance from a video from you, Jay. Is that?
Yeah, we'll do that one next.
True. Yeah. All right, so first one up, we've got James Kilroy, who you guys have seen. We've seen his films before in here, which we love. Guys, member or not, we always love the people who are submitting a film, they're taking feedback, and then they're submitting another film a month later or something like that. We get to see that progress. So James Kilroy of Kilroy Films. Let's see what he said here. I got to scroll over. All right, so 4th ever full day shoot. Love that. We love kind of, obviously catching people early in their career is always fun.
Well, no, here's the thing about James. I remember he said this. He's a little older than maybe the typical person getting started as a wedding filmmaker. And so I think he has experience in, videography and all those things. And he's like, am I too old to get started? And people were like, no, you're never too old to get started. Get going. So I love that.
So yeah, 4th ever full day shoot. It was his second shooter's first wedding ever, and he was a bit overwhelmed. So I actually, there's a comment later. So resulting in a little bit of micromanagement. That's actually that's an interesting, it's not something that we can maybe comment on super well, but it's an interesting part of wedding filmmaking.
I can comment on it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, specific to this film, we might not know everything that goes into it, but obviously Jay runs a company with a lot of teams. I often have a second. I actually just made a video on how to be a great second shooter, which I think is it's an art form. Anyway, let's see. Speech's audio was good, but didn't like the speaker's tone. Biggest challenge was my seconds overshooting, which is an interesting point. Long clips, constant movement, micro adjustments in exposure, focal lengths, etc. And he specifically says to note the bride and groom footage, which was shot in the same exact room, side by side in the venue, the same lighting choices, and to guess which one was his and which was his second shooter's.
All right, let's do this then.
Do it.
Because I think we'll be able to guess.
Yeah, that comment leads me to believe we will.
Not ideal, but I would tell you don't put it in the film. Moving on. Here we go. Oh, sorry.
Here we go. Soon.
It's not seem to be playing music.
Here we don't go. Well, in the meantime, I will hit some comments. We have lots of emojis in the chat today. I like that. Giving a little flair. Ron Flores saying he feels old too. The Young Bucks have it figured out. I don't think, age plays a factor. Age plays a role for sure. But I don't know. I don't think, if you do good work, you do good work. What are we drinking today? A classic comment. So today, I made my daily espresso, but I did not have milk. So I turned it into an Americano. You can see in my nice mug. I've got that. I'm almost done with it. It's kind of cold now. I've got water. I was literally thinking as we went live, I was like, I don't have enough water. I might need to get up. So if you see me leave my seat briefly, probably to get up and grab a sparkling water or something.
All right, I'm going to do this in a different way, dude.
All right, because we're about to reset.
Some issue seems to have happened with my... if I might have made a really dumb mistake when I was doing... Today was a little bit of a hectic day. I've been doing a lot of editing lately.
I'm not going to lie. I woke up and I completely forgot that we had a live stream today. So
I mean, I remembered, but I was just...
How many people in chat right now are done with weddings for the year? Either done shooting or done editing. How about you? You guys have more, right, Jay?
Yeah, we have an amount more. I don't know.
I mean, that comes with the territory of doing whatever, 250.
220, not 250. Don't go crazy.
220, my bad. I shot my last wedding on Friday, last wedding of the year. Currently. I could always book another. And I'm very excited to be done shooting for the year. So lots of editing, though. Lots of other projects, too. Ron Flores got his last one on Saturday. Way to go. Congrats to everybody who made it to the other side of the wedding.
Seriously.
And especially 2022 was crazy. Hey, Bobby, on ceremony, how many cams do you use? One middle and one each side. So I'll say this. I typically have a second shooter. I am going to move away from that next year. I've shot some on my own too. When I shoot on my own, I typically use 4 cameras. When I have a second shooter, it might still just be 4 or it might be 5. And it also depends on the venue too. Like, is it a Catholic church and I have access to a balcony where I can put like a wide safety, or is everything kind of on the same level? I don't know, stuff like that. So 4, I would say, is my general. But one of those is gimbal. And so, yeah. Oh, we've got audio.
This one works. Here, why don't you do this one while I fix this problem?
Perfect. This is a great setup because this is Jay's film, which I'll be reviewing. So James, not Jay, James, we will come to yours after we get this fixed. But for now, I'm going to review. We're all going to review. And actually, this would be great. Everybody who's in here, I want you guys to help. Like, let me do
the story behind the wedding.
Give us the one paragraph.
The one paragraph. This was a wedding we booked in 2019. It got rescheduled because of the virus. And the couple is from the East Coast, had a connection to Snowmass, Colorado, brought everybody out to Snowmass, Colorado to have this big wedding on top of a mountaintop. We shot A7S III and Blackmagic on sticks for our ceremony cams, and then all the handheld gimbal, most of the A-cam stuff is A7S III. The tricky part was they wanted to do their first look on top of a mountain, and it wasted about 45 minutes of time. And then as we're doing the first look, a big rainstorm comes in. So we literally do vows and leave. Portrait sessions, basically non-existent. Just a really, really challenging 3 days, really challenging 2 years with this couple, trying to get everything organized. By the end of it, I was just like, get it over with. Let's just do it. And so I made a post in the Facebook group, and I was like, this is a wedding I'm pretty frustrated about. And I was disappointed with, because it was supposed to be super, super dope, and it was dope, and the couple was fine. I'm not ripping on anybody, but I know in my mind how it was going to be. It just didn't end up being that way. And so, I think this is just lesson learned, right? We've all had weddings like this, and it's one of those things where you have a wedding like this. It's a learning opportunity. So that's the wedding. That's the backstory.
Love it.
Here you go.
Let's roll it.
Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world. Anywhere I go, you go. I carry your heart. I am never without it.
Took me 30 years to find you. Only 30 minutes to realize you're the one.
Today's an extraordinary day. It's extraordinary because of where we are. It's extraordinary because of whom we're with. And even more, it's extraordinary why we're here.
When I prayed for you 2 months before I met you, I was sick and wishing in my toils that I had someone to care for me. And in that moment of sorrow, a knowing came over me. I would have someone. You were out there, and someday I would vow to care for you.
Gary, this magical day is finally here. As I prepare for the most important day in my life, I can't help but realize how lucky of a man I am. Not only am I marrying the girl of my dreams, but becoming part of her beautiful family.
The day I met you was an unfolding of destiny. Couldn't have planned it if I tried, but you did. You planned the most spectacular day-long blind date that led us here. And as I've been gifted the time, adventure, and incredible experiences of loving you over 5.5 years, I know
They had a child in between, by the way.
lived by loving and being loved by you.
The child was not when we booked them.
Jeff, you help me, you support me, love me, and nourish me. And I promise to help, love, support, and nourish you forever and ever until I do in another lifetime. And then we can do it all over again.
So I now pronounce you husband and wife. Jeff, you may kiss the bride.
I want to do that.
It has been the joy of a lifetime to see you blossom into what you always dreamed of being.
Jeff, you somehow were able to make the most amazing person I've ever met even better. Cheers to you too.
That was a cool shot.
So the part coming up is her brother, and he did a rap for them. A rap he wrote. And her brother has special needs, and so we wanted to, it was awesome. It was really cool. So if you're like, why did they put this in here? That's why.
As you can see, I've at last tied the knot to to the one and only man I forever loved a lot. Because he, without question, has changed my life a lot. Because he has been the most lovable person I have ever loved, to want to talk more than an hour to talk to talk.
That's awesome.
You know I'm never gonna slack, huh? You know I'm never gonna slack, huh? You know I'm getting in them racks, and you know I'll always bring it back. Racks.
So what do you think? How'd I do, Bobby?
That film sucked. No, I actually can we do this like a do we want to do this like a normal review?
Yeah. Do
All
it.
right, let's do it. All right, so I'm gonna go through the things that I like, the things that I don't know I didn't like or whatever. But also in the chat, you guys can do this too because Jay is on the chopping block. He's in the hot seat.
Yeah, bring it.
On the other side. Okay. I mean, I would say pretty much everything are things I like about this film. I actually find it really interesting. I know you kind of prefaced this. I know you posted it in the group and you kind of prefaced it before we played it, talking about like that dynamic of when you know you have this epic destination, right? Like I've had these exact types of weddings where it's like, oh, they're getting married on a mountain, or they're getting married in this cool country or whatever, and like, oh, it's gonna be so awesome. And you have this vision in your head, and then you go and the day just doesn't flow.
It just
the
doesn't
way
work.
that you envisioned it. Yeah, for one reason or another, and maybe it's not even anybody's fault, right? But I think I know where you were at going into it. I know you were at where you were at, like mindset wise, probably while you were shooting it and right after you left. And then I think you pivoted and you tackled it and made a great edit. So I think that's important. I love the inclusion of the kid. Obviously that's probably more, them, but obviously you guys captured it. And like you have this, especially that intro, which was really cool. Like the first 30 seconds or whatever it is, kind of that mini film, which I always love, including that kid and making it more like it's their family. And obviously it is their family. Really good scene setting stuff. I loved the drone stuff. Obviously it's a gorgeous setting.
We actually had to buy a new drone because
Really?
we smashed our drone day one. It was quite anyway.
And I also really like the time lapses, which I don't know how many people include time lapses in their films. I've done it. I haven't done it in the last couple of years. I just haven't had the right wedding for it. But it's like it can be a pain to capture time lapses of something that makes sense and is important and plays a role in the film.
To me, that's what rehearsal dinners are for.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, let me shoot these speeches and then I have 2 hours to shoot a time lapse. But like sometimes I see them in people's films and it's just like rushed and it's just for the sake of a time lapse or something. But here I think it works really well. Man, I have something else written here that I don't know what I wrote, but I have one more thing written. I love the inclusion of that rap. I know you prefaced that one as well. I think that is really hard to do.
I think it really comes down to like a lot of these elements when you're making a wedding film. It's like, how do you make people's families come across as special? Yeah. Right? How do you highlight who they are? Because there's nothing about someone's family like their child, right? That could easily be a negative to the wedding film. Like, oh, they're not this sexy couple anymore. They have a kid. Well, or this guy, that wasn't like this great rap, you know? But we were like, we wanted to include it.
It makes total sense to incorporate it. And I just think it's like difficult to sometimes incorporate something like that. Like, how do you do that without just like completely like pausing the film you're creating and then going back to it?
Well,
right?
my thought was he's
transition.
rapping.
Yeah.
Can I make it on the beat?
Yep.
So we chopped it up and put it on the beat and made it because I'm thinking in my head, like when he watches this film, he's going to want to feel like a rap star.
Yeah.
That will make him feel cool. Anyway.
I love that. I also love that you went on this hike with them. Like I think some of that intro stuff, it looked like the day before or day after, something like that. I think that's hugely important. Obviously, like, get paid for your time, guys, but like I love when a couple is doing something like that and wants to invite you into that time. Like you got some really awesome footage with just them and their kid out in what I imagine is kind of like their happy place, like being outdoors, being out in nature. So I think I only wrote down one critique, and the only thing that I wrote down was that middle track, I think it's kind of the middle track. I mean, it's before the rap track, after the intro track, it was just kind of this like delicate piano. And I felt like that was like, I don't know. I liked it because it left room for like a lot of really good dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue throughout, but I don't know if it was the pace or just like how minimal it was. Like I wanted just like a little bit more in that track.
See, I felt the same way. And one of the things that we were wrestling with is like for a 3-day wedding, there really was a tremendous lack of content.
Yeah.
Or the content was like it didn't tell a coherent story. Like they had this pool party and then they did, it was like, it was just all over the place. And so we were like, we have to slow this film down.
Yeah. I don't think I dislike the
It's not my favorite.
Slow it down.
It's not my favorite song. But at some point you just work on a film and you're like, screw it. This is the film we're making.
At some point you just hit export. And
this is what we're making and like try to make the best of it. And I think I totally agree. And, you know, as we were working on, as I was shooting it, I remember going back to the hotel room and being like, man, this is not, what am I going to make now?
Yeah.
You know, so it is what it is.
Tell me something else too, because I'm curious about this. The intro poem by whatever his name is that I should know, and I can't think of it right now.
Yeah.
What was like, actually, I think somebody asked about this. Was the narrator, this is 87 Smith asked, was the narrator in the beginning something they wanted, or was that or what was the inspiration for that? Like, where did your mindset go?
So she's a writer.
Okay.
And it wasn't my idea, to be honest.
Yeah. Wait,
but
so did she want that, or was it
not
somebody else
specifically
internally?
that, but there was
something.
They wanted something, and so we were like, it's generic. Like that's a generic part. 1 million people have put that in their wedding video. So that was the other thing, is like I had to use something that I was like, it's not special.
Weren't inspired by.
No, it just was a generic thing. It's fine. We do that a lot with Huxley, is try to include something like that in the film. I don't know. There's a lot of things about that film that just ended up being not
but
what
it's still a really solid film. Like
that's ultimately what it's all about, guys. As a wedding filmmaker, is can you make something good in some situations that aren't really ideal? Every once in a while, you'll work with a couple and everything is just like clicking.
Yep.
But I would say that's not the norm.
Yeah, it's not always the case. All right, moving as you get the next one queued up.
We're ready to go.
Audio? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm gonna just run through comments real quick because we got a lot, and then we'll roll into it. So Ron Flores saying, "What service would you guys say has the better music choice for weddings?" Jay, you want to take that one?
Music Bed. Head over there.
At the same time, say Music Bed.
Use our code.
Bed. Yeah, we have yes, we are affiliated with Music Bed. They're a sponsor. Far and away the best service for licensing music, and we would both say that years before we were affiliated. I literally used MusicBed like the day they started, like 9 years ago or 11 years ago.
I've been a client since the very beginning as well.
They're the best. They are the most expensive, but they're the best, and they are well worth it.
Yep.
Let's see.
Click on a link. You can go.
Actually, it's in our description. You can get like a free month or something like that.
You got to pay for the 1 year, but it's 100% worth it.
A couple comments on the tilting or like rotating shots.
Yeah, people don't like that. I like it. The end.
Yeah, I like it when it's like a couple in a row. I thought it worked for that edit for sure.
What did they say? They don't like it? A lot of people
does not like
Brandon doesn't like it, but I do. As discussed.
Somebody else was just asking about it. I think they were asking if you did it in camera or in the edit. I'm assuming in the edit. At least most of it.
I think I do a lot in camera.
Yeah, I think some in camera.
But sometimes. I think in this particular one, it's just like if you're like, for instance, like there's like a little push in on like some grass. That was a mix of in camera and.
Yeah.
So.
Kilroy Films in the chat, and you are in luck. You did not miss your film getting annihilated by me and Jay. We had an audio issue, so we had to pivot away from yours, which was supposed to be first, and we're about to get into it.
Here it is. Here's your film right here.
Yeah, we're ready again.
Here we are. So again, this is Kilroy Films. He mentioned he had a new second shooter, and yeah, so here it is.
You spoke my name and life began.
That guy looks like he's asleep.
Dust and sand. Felt you in the cool of the night. Saw you in the newly made sky. And you were mine. Take me back to the garden where it all began. Take me back to the garden.
Where's the bride?
We were walking hand.
There she is.
That's the bride?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe not.
That's his mom.
That's his mom. My bad.
My heart was filled with peace, lost
there?
in the mystery. It's all
We're lost in the mystery of who the bride is.
Yeah.
take me back to the garden and walk.
There she is.
Made in your perfect design, pure in heart and mind.
It's a very Christian song.
Known by
Careful.
loving eyes,
That song choice.
held in heaven.
Ooh, risky. What if that went off the edge and fell 10 stories down?
Do you know what Moxie is?
Nope.
We'll talk about Moxie.
We'll talk about it after the film.
Where it all began. Take me back to the garden when we were walking hand in hand. My eyes were filled with wonder. My heart was filled with peace. Captured by the mystery, it's all that I could see. Take me back to the garden and dance with me. And all my heart grows from the place my spirit knows. It's the longing of my soul to find a place I once called home. And show me the garden, place that you've prepared. The streets of gold will walk on. Take me there, take me there, take me back to the garden where it all began. Take me back to the garden. We were walking hand in hand. My eyes were filled with wonder. My heart was filled with peace. Lost in the mystery. It's all that I could see. Take me back to the garden. Take me back to the garden. Take me back to the garden. Take me back to the garden.
That lady painted her eyebrows on. It's startling.
Take me back to the garden. We were walking hand in hand.
Doggy.
My eyes were filled with wonder. My heart was filled with peace. Captured by the mystery. It's all that
Weird.
I could see. Take me
It was a weird
back
pose.
to the garden.
Lean back uncomfortably and kiss her.
Take me back to the garden.
More uncomfortably, please.
Can you just always be in between kisses and just weirdly hold it and then back away and then start kissing again, please? And then laugh. And then you look at the camera.
That's Jay's prompt. You usually have to pay for
That's
that
how
class, but
that's
you
how
get it
I would
for
have
free.
posed that. Can you uncomfortably move around in slow motion? Thank you. Oh man, you should have done so much more with this segment.
Set of, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Let's do it.
So Bobby, get us started.
All right, you want my things that I liked?
Yes.
Okay. I liked. Sorry. Okay, you had some good establishing shots, or like you established kind of like you had like
You
shots
had
of where
establishing
we are.
shots.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's not always the case, honestly.
No, it's very
And, like
true.
I think they worked. I think like there are some that are better than others for sure. I actually have one thing written down on one of them that I didn't like, but like, yeah, you have establishing shots. I think you have a lot captured of like, you know, one of the things that I always am torn with is like, so let's talk about groom prep because I think that's the best example. Groom prep, a lot of the times, like I'm just like I'm in and I'm out. I'm getting.
I would have shown exactly 2 of those shots.
So yeah, so I'm gonna talk about that too, because there's like a flip side of this comment. But I do sometimes think like, man, I wish I had got more of like kind of all the guys hanging out in the morning. And I think you have a lot of that. I think you could have shot it better, and we'll get to that. And I don't know about the inclusion for this film, and we'll get to that. But I think you did get good coverage there, and good coverage in general. And then I also liked, I think your bride prep, you know, where it sat in the film is maybe up for discussion. But I think that was some of your strongest shooting in this. Like you were very conscious of the light for most shots. You had this kind of dark vibe. You had this softer light on her and all the other lights turned off. You had this one that we're seeing right now through the window is like it's a cool shot. So I think you had like, I like this a lot.
Minus the schmutz all around the place. It's nice.
Yeah. I would have gone like, yeah, I don't know. But yes, exactly. So like, I don't know. I think it's some interesting stuff. That's what I liked about the film. But I also think there's plenty to work on. So let's go through, I guess, Jay, first, let's hear what you liked about it.
I agreed with you on like the bride prep, a lot of the establishing shots with the bride. You know, like I actually think the shooting is something that you're clearly have comfortability with and skill with. I think most of my issues are with the editing and the some of the choices made on the wedding day.
Yeah, I think it's like the editing and like taking command.
Yes. Yeah. And some of the lens choices, little things like that.
Yes,
but,
true.
But I think in general, like the shooting is really solid. And I feel like there's some things you could probably, you know, like that's out of focus and little things. But I think in general, like, you know, you put people in a, when you felt comfortable, I felt like you were able to execute with your camera. There was places that I saw that were blown out where you were trying to knock the highlights down in post that were pretty obvious. Like but in general, it looked pretty solid throughout. And I actually think I don't like the edit, but I think it shows like it wasn't this disaster zone edit. Like I just didn't like the choices, but it felt like it was a clean edit. And I felt like you kind of had a concept and you stuck with it. And I felt like it was very cohesive from the beginning of the film to the end of the film. And I think that's also a strength. That's not a, even if
it's a straightforward linear cut. And I think I kind of agree. Yeah, it's like there's nothing massive that's like wrong with the edit, but I think it could have been done. Like,
I have a couple massive.
I mean, I have a list of.
So I'll start since I'm here. Like, my biggest issue with this edit is that, first of all, the song, that if this couple is very Jewish, I'm not sure they would want a Christian song as their. Not to say that we both share Genesis 1 in our tradition, so maybe that's fine. Genesis 2 or 3 or whatever. But regardless, I think I might want to look into that. I don't know. I'm trying to be sensitive to people's background with the film, and I don't think I would do that. That being said, I don't like the song anyway, so I don't think it was a big win. It's just...
I think that's...
Like, look at the footage that you're looking at here, and then I'm going to turn the music up. Like, is that what you would expect to hear when people are dancing like that? I think that was really, really, really held your film back. Yeah. Because using 2 songs would have been better. Because at first I was like, oh, this is a nice song.
Yeah, I think it works for prep and
for the first half. But because...
But I do think, like, and I'm somebody who uses songs with lyrics, right?
Oh, me too.
Like, not everybody does
Not always, but many times.
Not every film, but probably most of my films.
It definitely helps.
Knowing, especially when you have no audio on the day, which is another thing that I think we should talk about.
Yes.
For a film like this, having a song with lyrics can help drive that forward. Being selective of where you use lyrics, you drop both tracks in there, instrumental and lyrical.
That's why you have a music bed subscription. Save 1 month with the wedding film school.
Yep. But yeah, I agree with like the religious aspect and maybe it is fine with them.
Maybe it's
might
fine.
Be a good fit, whatever. And we don't know. But it is like even like the lyrics on this one, I don't know what it was. It was like right away when we were, I don't know, 30 seconds into the film or something. I was like, man, the lyrics in this are just like very in my face right now.
Well, it's Christian music.
How to explain that. Yeah.
It's they call it preachy for a reason.
True, I guess.
So I think that was my big thing is like the edit just was so slow and it was really dragged down. And in terms of the storytelling, like you hung with that groom, like it was 1.5 minutes before we saw the bride.
Yeah.
That to me, it's like I could give. The groom could give 2 craps. The audience could give 2 craps. No one cares about watching that guy do that with a hairdryer, or that guy in terrible light fixing his tie, or, wedding films are all about the bride. That's my opinion. You can take it, leave it. Works for me. Made me a lot of money. Wedding films are all about the bride and the relationship between the bride and the groom and their family. Like, and if people are doing fun stuff, cool. But like, I don't think you should have that much establishing shots of people like walking into random doors, standing there. Like there's so much filler in this film. And I just can't help but think, man, give me some toasts. Give me some, like this film needed that. It needed that personal touch. These are normal folks and it's all about their family and relationships and it needs that.
I'll say 2 things kind of in response to that. One, to note, this is, I believe, a UK wedding. And we've had this conversation before where we're like, we don't really understand UK wedding days. And we know there's something a little bit different. We often find these films have more filler than what we're used to. So I think that's worth just pointing out.
Yes.
Second, James is in the chat right now saying that his audio was wrong on the day. Something went wrong. So I mean, again, it's worth noting. Like he probably knows too. Like, hey, this film would have been way better if I had some audio to move it along. So, yeah.
Even like using like some on-camera audio to give us a sense of place. And last thing I was gonna say is shooting a room that's filled with crap, either clean it up or hide it. And I'm telling you, if you had a longer focal length from time to time, like a 50 mil at least, it looks like a 35 all day. This film would look so much better too. The dance floor, it's like you're on the perimeter.
That's exactly what I. Yeah, anyway. I'm gonna dive into that. Do you have more to add? Or
no, I'm good.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go through my stuff pretty quickly. So first of all, in your shooting, you have a lot of backlighting. You used light really well with the bridal prep. I would feel like the backlighting that did exist was like silhouetted. It seemed intentional. And then on the groom, it's just like backlit, really underexposed red skin because of the light in the back. Turn him towards that window. Like, you clearly know what you're doing. And I don't know if, like, I get it if you're in a room with the groom and all his groomsmen. Sometimes it's intimidating to be like, hey, I need you to stand over here while you put your tie on, but just do it because you're gonna be so much happier. We already talked about introducing the bride really late in the film. I did see your comment where you were like, I wanted the
voices,
groom prep during the guy's voice and the bride prep or whatever.
I caught that.
I get it, but like, still, you gotta at least introduce them earlier, and I think it's worth like trying that. But then I think you can see that it didn't work to wait that long, and you gotta just axe that idea. Like, we as creatives gotta be willing to like have an idea, try it, and be like,
well, that didn't really I meant to mention that because I knew that that's what he was thinking when I saw it, and I meant to say, this song is the reason this film isn't great, because even that idea is restricting you.
Yep.
So you gotta tell the story you want to tell, not let a song tell you.
I have two more things to add. I agree with Jay that last shot, silhouetted. First of all, they were out of focus. So that shot could have been better, but also I would have leaned into that shot and done more with that phase of the day. I feel like you set it up because maybe you felt like you didn't have enough, or maybe you just thought it was cool, which is, no matter what the reason, totally viable and awesome. And
it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think we could have like even introed with a shot like that. Like, that's a creative, interesting shot. I think you could have executed it slightly better, and I also think it could have played more role in the film. And then as we're looking at dance footage, just the other thing I wanted to say, and Jay kind of touched on it. When you're on the dance floor, get in there. The shot we just saw, the lady with the black hair, this shot right there, maybe this one, those are solid, perfectly fine, good dance floor shots. You're in close. It looks like you're on. You got to be in close, or you got to be shooting super long. I want to be on that dance floor. I don't want to be on a wide lens on the perimeter with infinite focus in the background. Separate the subject.
Well, it's the same with the backlit shot where he brought the light outside. That would look a lot better on like 85 mil.
Yeah.
Where like the flare actually has some length to it instead of like a really wide lens where it's just not doing much for you.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts there. And I think that, overall, again, like, it's not a bad film.
I mean, that's for your fourth wedding film.
Yeah,
it's actually
also,
a great wedding film.
Yeah. So yeah, for fourth, that's pretty darn solid.
Pretty darn good. Like,
if
that
you
is.
Want to see my fourth film or close to it, it's on our channel.
Yeah.
Because I think we labeled it my first film, but I think I couldn't actually find my very first, so that one was like my second or third.
I didn't even edit my first wedding film. I shot a wedding film and I didn't even edit it. I was like, this is so bad. It was on my Canon GL2.
Jay almost quit forever.
My Canon GL2.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't get paid. I remember the bride's mom was like, where's this thing you shot? And I was like, I'm not going to give it to you.
Oh, yeah. Actually, sorry. I'm internally laughing about what you said, and now I'm reading the comments at the same time. My brain is separated, and I'm focused over here. James mentioning again, which I forgot, that he covered the bride and his second covered the groom.
Well, that's again why you don't let the song ruin your film by including a bunch of crap footage you don't like.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Why? Here's a good question. Why? Maybe you can answer in the chat, because I will go through their timeline, and if I can't be in both places outside of extenuating circumstances,
it extends you beyond yourself.
Yes. If I can't be in two places at once and it is absolutely impossible, then so be it. But that is, I don't know the last time I haven't. Actually, the last time I was not at groom prep was when we shot a BTS in a wedding I shot in California.
I'm not at groom prep a lot. We can't do it a lot.
I am.
In our area, it doesn't work. Because.
Well, how about this? Tell me this. Do you send a second shooter who has never shot a wedding to cover it for you?
No. We have a second shooter that they have to pay for if we cover groom prep. If it's in the same building, I will cover it. But I would say, hey, I only need 10 minutes. I'll make 10 minutes in the schedule, drop by, make them do the tie, leave. And if they're like 30 minutes away, which is pretty common in our area, I'll just be like, we'll just fake something when we get to the first look.
That.
But we miss groom prep a lot. It's pretty, like, I would say 30% of our weddings we have no groom prep.
When I say groom prep, I am
The tie and all that junk.
I'm encompassing, like, if you're not at groom prep, doing some fake prep shots. Like,
yeah.
Whatever,
I'll do that.
Whatever role that fills in your film, I guess is what I would say.
I would say I don't care about it, and I think it's dumb, and I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
That's my basic opinion. We do it because, but a lot of grooms agree with me, and so that's a big win. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Like, no, don't come here.
All right. Who's our second filmmaker today?
We've got our boy Grant, who's in chat. Grant Fitzgerald.
Is he another? He's another Brit, right?
No, he's right here. He's in Minneapolis.
Oh no, he's a
with me.
Minneapolisian. A Minneapolisian. Minneapolisian. What is
Minneapolite. Okay. So, shot on the Canon 80D. This is his last wedding with the 80D as his A-cam. So we
Love
can
it.
all celebrate.
Praise the Lord.
Hit us in chat with what you upgraded to. Or maybe you downgraded. I don't know. Maybe you
He's
just
like-
threw it in the trash.
It's like I went back in time, got an A7. I got a 7.
Yeah.
7D.
A Canon SL2, not the Leica. Yes, the Canon. Mavic Mini, 18 to 35, 7200 most of the day. Shot with an assistant that I'm training. One of those really solid days where I can't think of anything that really went wrong besides all the drunk people lighting up the sparklers before the photographer and I were outside. A classic scenario.
Classic.
Yeah, we've got his collection here. And
Take me back to the garden.
yeah, Grant, can you take us back to the garden?
Here we go.
Sweetheart, blessed is the best word to describe what I am in this moment. Surrounded by the people we love most in this world, finally doing what I knew would happen in due time.
Sam, I can't believe it's our wedding day. You're the man that I would dream about as a little girl when I pictured my wedding.
I could tell she was going to be someone significant in his life. The happiness was apparent from day one, and he seemed more fulfilled than I'd ever seen him before. I quickly realized she was going to be around for the long
Yoda,
haul.
Grant's doing some directing here.
I can't begin
like
to
it.
imagine
Ooh.
how freaked out you were and crazy you thought I was.
Written and
when I
directed
looked at
by
you in the
Grant
mirror at your
Fitzgerald.
old apartment and told you I was going to marry you
You showed up
about a
strong.
month into dating.
Is this a...
I somehow just knew
Is this
what
a-
was coming.
No, I've lost
I thought
the
you were
joke.
absolutely
forgot
nuts,
the
but I
word.
secretly hoped that you were serious. I can't believe that it's been 4 years and now
What's
we're
the
actually
thing they
here on our
call
wedding
staged
day.
film? Oh, hey, I just shot here. Hey, we just shot BTS here.
Nice.
Oh, Grant, I want your drone shot because mine's... I'm not using it.
This is a gracious invitation, a divine invitation. It is also a command. We are to abide
Your
in
dress
God's
is better
love.
than mine, too.
I think he shot the crap out of this
For this
with that
reason,
terrible camera.
We were made by
Just
God.
imagine what his next wedding will be like.
Abiding in God's love and loving one another is the highest calling we have.
Oh, you missed that.
The moment God blessed me with you, something came over me, a calmness that I had never felt before. Something that told me I was home with you. You picked me up, dusted me off, and brought me new life. I don't know where this life will take us, but I can't wait to do it all with my best friend and love of my life. Let's have fun today, sweetie. I love you more. Sam.
Boom, ba-doom, boom, 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 boom. Oh, no.
Nope. Wrong.
I think everyone that knows me knows I'm the most indecisive person on the planet, but I've never been
So I'm
more
not
sure
sure
of
if
a
I'm gonna get
decision in
married
my life
today.
than I am to marry you today. I can't wait for the life we're going to build together. I can't wait to watch you be a dad to our future children. And I can't wait to grow old with you. You're my best friend and the love of my life, and I'm
Who's
so
that
excited
kid?
to see
I
you
see dead
as I
people.
walk down the aisle
That
today.
groom looks.
I love you most.
He looks like Haley Joel Osment, that groom. Except with brown hair and not.
Kodak has entered the chat.
Who has?
Sam, take thee, Katie, to my wedded wife, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer.
In sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death us do part, according to God's holy ordinance. And thereto, I pledge thee my faithfulness.
You may kiss the bride.
We're just so thankful that Katie found Sam. He has just loved her and taken care of her just from day one.
Sammy B, I couldn't ask for a better match for my best friend. And thank you for loving our girl and putting a smile on her face always.
Oh, this would look so much better on another camera. I can't, I can't get over it.
Is there a dance floor like in the middle of
you all look great,
everything, or is it up against
and
one of the walls?
let's have a good time tonight, and cheers to you all.
Yo,
cheers
dog.
to us, babe.
You're shooting
and
this really
cheers
well.
to the ones we're taking with us. I love you.
I love you.
Hey, you can't even tell they lit them.
Oh yeah, dude, this is super good at it. He did a good job. No, don't end with that shot.
He's still going. He's still going.
Or that one. Anyway, really sick film. Excellent job, Grant. Let's talk about it. I'll go first.
That's good. I didn't write a whole lot down.
Well, I mean, it's just good. So I would say what I like about the film is very strong narrative arc. Really, really excellent. Get to know the couple. Just a level of intentionality throughout the film where you had them stand, how you chose to show a moment like this where you show everyone, right? And you don't just zoom in on the bride's face, and like the way you use the toast throughout. Like, I think that's a little cheesy with him walking in, but that being said, I also love that you created that moment, right? And you got in that light and you got him to buy in. That's a great shot. Like, there's so many moments throughout the film where I could tell you were in a non-annoying way too, because this to me, honestly, I'll say, like, this reminds me of a Stop Go Love film. These are the types of weddings I'm doing every single week with these types of couples, and you're taking this day and you're elevating it by good filmmaking and good storytelling. You're not letting the fact that it's not this mega luxury event. It's these are high end, by the way. This is not like Hutton House, I'm sure, is not cheap, right? So you didn't let, except for that shot where you have the exit signs, you elevated this day really effectively and shot really well, and I think it's just great, and I think you did a great job.
Yeah, I think awesome coverage. I think really good, variety of shots. The Hutton House, I'm familiar with it because I just shot there and have shot there once or twice before that. It's this like really beautiful, I mean, it's all white everywhere, as you can see. But the outside is where I kind of have like, it's like, how do I like establish just like where we are?
I would just show the lake personally. I wouldn't even show
It's not on the lake though.
I would just show the lake anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. But I think you did a good job. Like I don't love your second drone shot as much, but the first one is good. And I know, like, I've shot there twice, and it's both been fall, and there's like no leaves on the trees, and so I think that makes it hard. But you use those trees, and I think that's the only way to get a drone shot that works there. And then okay, so going beyond that, good coverage. The directing, I want to focus on that too. I think you have a good mix of, obviously, like, you know, you're not directing all parts of the day, but you are directing like where you want them to sit for letter reading, I think, stuff like that. Obviously some of the prep shots. I think the directing is right on the line for me. And I think, Jay, you were kind of saying some of this too, where it's like, it looks really good. I really like that reflected shot of the groom. But yeah, some of it was just a little bit maybe towing the line of like, this is a little too directed. But
he didn't look natural, and that's the key. Is if you can direct someone and they look natural doing it, great. But he didn't look natural.
Again, like I think it's just like slightly, like just your toe over the line. So, but I really like the initiative to do that, because I think like had you not directed, especially at the Hutton House, knowing their prep rooms, you would have come away with such worse. And the prep rooms are like great, but you need to utilize that natural light, otherwise they're tough. And so your footage was way better because you took the initiative to direct. So I like that.
And that's not easy. Like, great development. Really, really cool. What else did you like, Bobby? That's what we're talking about.
That was what I wrote down. But like I said, I didn't write down a lot. I was kind of just watching the film.
I think the story was good too throughout the film. So
yeah. Oh yes. Lots of audio. I really like that. And audio that worked and like progressed things. And yeah. So
mostly good lens choices too.
Yeah,
and
variety.
The other thing I liked
like
is
that
throughout the
coverage.
film, like right here, you have your coverage angles, but then you have your highlight angles. So you like got a couple nice glam shots of like the dance floor, just a couple different things. Nice use of foreground. Like, this is a very sophisticated coverage. I mean, he did a great job. So let's talk about some areas where we think it could be improved. I can go first. I think the second song was a missed opportunity. When someone says the word, "Let's go party," that's my narrative arc to go party button on, and maybe I would have used that soundbite a little bit later, but I would have used that soundbite, "Let's party," to initiate. And I wanted to, like, that's my opinion, by the way, is that we didn't go hard enough at the end. And I don't mean like we don't have to do that direction, but just something with more energy. I feel like this couple could do it. I think the shooting pulled it off. I think you could have. I think the dance floor pulled it off. I think you had the footage, the shooting.
And I think you
give
probably
it a little
had
bit.
more footage, so you could have gone faster. Like, that's like a lot of your shots are very solid, and that leads me to believe that you had more solid. It's not like you used only every good shot possible. And so, I think you could have gone a little faster paced.
Yeah, and it would have helped, I think, give it a little more lift. The other thing is this Exhibit A, Bobby, of when people say gear doesn't matter, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it does. Look at this film. This film on a more modern camera. First of all, it's Exhibit A for you don't need all the best gear to shoot a great wedding. But it's also, it would be a lot better with a better camera. And I really can see that, like, the camera's limitations just kind of crumbling and just causing a lot of issues. And the only thing I was going to say too about the look is there's a lot of green cast on this day, and I
have that written down.
It just, a lot of the footage was a little bit green looking to me and blue looking, and I felt like that could have been there. But I know how in post, these older cameras, you're dealing with
They just don't hold up.
You just can't tweak it that much. And so I think that's a limitation, like a little tiny mistake made that the camera doesn't let you fix that well. So I'm really looking forward to whatever he has next, because I think his next films are going to be like another level.
Yep. So things I wrote down, the first thing was the skin tones. I first saw it in the initial bridal prep shots. You have some bridal prep shots where I don't see it, but then some where I do. And then at other points throughout the day. I picked up on those greens, especially as what it looked shifted towards to me. And yeah, again, I think Jay nailed it. Like, part of it is maybe in your shooting, your white balance, whatever you're dialing and whatever. And part of it is your lack of ability, and not like you, but like probably due to gear limitations and using an older camera, your lack of ability to really go in and really correct that. But now that you have a new camera, I assume that you'll kind of get around a fair amount.
And I think the skills you learn working on a limited camera are going to only help you with a great camera. Like, still shoot it correctly. And when you make a little mistake, you can fix it. But I think not having A lot of filmmakers are so lazy now, Bobby. They just get these nice cameras and they give you all this room, and then they just don't shoot it all right.
Yep, and I also know specific to some of that bridal prep. I think that was at Hutton House. I guess maybe it wasn't. I know their bridal prep room. Again, I was just there, and it is like, because it's so white and it's like a slightly bluish white. You do get this like cool, like even though you're dialed in for like daylight, it's this cooler daylight.
Well,
It's
do you
interesting.
want to know why?
Yeah.
This is a science thing.
Love
So
it.
if you're watching this, so daylight is full spectrum light, right? And when it's bouncing, blue in a daylight is the strongest frequency. So anytime you're getting bounced light, that's why shadows are blue. Because the blues are, or that's why an LED light, like if you crank it up on all the way of the bluish tone, it's way brighter than on the most orange. So it's why people, when they're dealing with bounce light, they're going to get cast from the trees, and they're going to get blue from the bounce. So when it's just a thing, like you just kind of, once you know that that's what's going to happen, you accommodate. But I think a lot of people are like, well, it's daylight coming through the window.
Yeah.
And you're like, not really. It's actually bounced, like it's like coming from the side of the building or whatever. It's really shadow light, which is different than direct daylight.
The other thing I had written down, I think you could have, and like, again, we don't know the limitations of the day, and I was kind of confused by the layout of the room for the reception. I know I had asked about that, but I think you could have done the speech shot better.
I agree.
Maybe a little tighter, a little more light. I know some of those, and I actually just dealt with this with a wedding that I just finished. Some of those speeches, like 2 people went up, and then the person on the left is blocking your light, and it's super frustrating.
It's also just, I think the way he set his white balance on the light, it's not bright enough, and it's also fighting. It's like really blue, and then the room's really yellow, and it just looks weird.
Yeah, that's all I have. Is really solid film.
Great film.
And,
Super good.
Here's something, Jay. Knowing what Grant is charging, which is a very like fair amount, I think he's doing a good job there. He's saying he needs to book a couple more films before he can get Music Bed, and he wants to switch from Soundstripe. I think you can get Music Bed, and you should.
My opinion is, if I booked a wedding that was $900, my entire I've never ran my business that way. I spend all my money on my business right away, and that's just what I do. And then when my business is killing it, then I just quit my other job.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I'm in the middle, but I think I don't remember if Grant is doing this full time or if he does something else. But I know, Grant, you're doing enough weddings at a healthy rate. I think you can fit. I think you can. And look, I don't know. You know, you run your business the way you want. But if you want my personal opinion, I think you can and should fit Music Bed.
I would
into
just
that.
say,
I think it's very doable.
raise your prices by $100.
Yeah, it's gonna upgrade your films for sure. So
big time. Great
there's
film.
value there.
Awesome job.
As we move on, I'm gonna hit some comments as you kind of get the next one set up. Yeah, we got a lot of comments on the like skin tone stuff, and yeah, let's see. Music selection, his least favorite thing. Yeah, definitely switching Music Bed. It won't make it perfect, but it'll make it easier.
Basically perfect.
Yeah. Raphael saying he prefers a good lens to a good camera. I agree with that.
Agree.
To a point, though.
Yeah, to a point.
To a point. And I think this is a great example of the to a point. I don't know actually which lens Grant's on throughout the day. We might actually have it listed. But
This is what I think when
matter.
it comes to that. It just needs to be newer. Like,
yeah,
I have like a modern camera, and I have like 3 of them in the range. Like, they're all new, but there's like the low end one and the high end one. Yeah, in that case, I prefer a good lens, and I'll use the lowest end body. But if a camera's really, really, really old, and the color science is really, really old, and cameras got way better in the last 4 years. Like a 60D, is that like a 6-year-old camera, right?
It's an 80D, but
80D?
I don't know how old it is. But the thing is, like, there is a point. Look, you can make a great film. That was a great example. It's still a great film.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a point where your camera will start to hold back parts of your film, and I think we nailed a specific part. And even with great lenses, and he's using. I actually listed his lenses.
Yeah, the 80D came out in 2016.
Yeah, so it's 6 years old, and like. still use it as a C cam or something, or maybe even a B cam if you're mostly on one camera. But yeah, and like again, you can create a great film. It was a great film. He also said this was right before he bought his first good light, so that probably helps too. Brandon with the Brandon comment of I don't own music that it doesn't fit my style. I don't think that is an accurate statement.
Brandon said that.
Yeah,
I've watched your films. It fits his
you're
style
a soundtrack
perfectly.
Guy, I get it, but like, there's more music on MusicBed. That's not even.
I mean, I've looked at Brandon's films. How does it not fit? Just click the word cinematic.
Yeah, go cinematic filmmaking. So yeah, I don't know. I know you love Soundstripe, but yeah.
Do whatever you want, but
working around 30 hours a week in the school year. Okay, yeah. Grant is working elsewhere, which I thought I couldn't remember. Ray Roman popping into chat just to give you and IJ just to boost our morale. Tell us that we're really good looking guys.
Did he say we're stupid?
No, he said you guys are really good looking.
Oh, thank you so much. This shirt this morning was so wrinkled I had to throw water on it. So they
My shirt is like pilling, but whatever, it works.
We're like pretending like we're like college people.
Yeah.
Grown men.
We're busy working and then doing this. All right. We ready to go?
Yes, we're ready to go. Who's our next filmmaker?
All right, cool. Next filmmaker is Zach Boyle, Z Breezy.
He's back.
He's back. I think we just reviewed Zach in the last few.
We did his website.
Something like that. Oh, yes. Oh, man. Okay, Zach, I don't know if I had seen... Well, I haven't seen this film, but I saw like 3 seconds when Jay was scrubbing through it. And if I remember your website, your films are a lot better than your site.
Yes.
Up here. Oh, yeah. I probably need to give you some information on it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just play it.
Easy. We revealed his first film in April, and we were super helpful. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. Since then, I've shot 6 more weddings, with my final one this year in October, which is this one. I shot as a solo shooter with the Sony a7 IV and the 35 1.4. Proud of the delivery time. I take Mondays and Tuesdays off. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, not like skipping over. I just don't think it's super relevant to everybody, but I appreciate that comment. Do we have opinions on delivery time, Jay?
Do I have an opinion on it?
Well,
yeah, you should. You should do it.
My opinion is just stick to whatever your client expects of you for whatever reason.
I would say this:
do 8 weeks.
A lot of people take too long.
Yeah.
But I think there's not a lot of benefit to be too fast.
Yep, there's a sweet spot. I'm curious what y'all think of my pricing. We could dive. Maybe we dive.
I looked at it. It's
2,500,
2,250. I thought it was bad. I thought your pricing model was bad, and I said that last week.
So yeah, wait.
We won't go into that this week.
Yeah, that was on your website. I think we dove into that.
Yep. So let's watch
cool.
the film. Here we go.
Michael and Lauren have known each other since middle school. And as I look through some of our old family photos, on occasion, Michael's in the frame. So yeah, he has been around.
So blue.
They lived in the same town. They went to the same middle school, the same high school.
But
they were classmates,
nice
and
cover,
friends. When it was time to go to college, they each went their separate ways. When college was over, Michael stayed in Minneapolis, and Lauren came home.
Don't like that jump cut.
Bob, Marla, Stacy, and I had
was
a
this shot
similar
in
relationship.
Minneapolis? Are you in Minneapolis?
We knew each other.
No,
We were
I thought he was in LA.
Oh.
Sometime after the kids finished school, Stacy gets a call from Marla.
Okay, I'm gonna do this while the audio mix in this is super bad.
Yeah, I never like to comment too much on it, but I can tell.
It's distracting me. So I'm just as a heads up, like when you have music this loud and audio, spoken audio this quiet, or think of everything in your video, guys, is like going through like a pipeline, like a literal physical pipe. There's only so much space. So you have to turn one thing down. it all contributes, and you don't want that. So that's really what's going on here. Is you're reaching the max of what can even be processed.
Zach is telling me. Wait, Zach, are you in Minneapolis or was this what? Oh, he's in Minneapolis. So am I. So is Grant. Minneapolis crew.
Oh, that said he was in LA.
He lied. No, I'm just kidding. What venue is this? Anyway, let's keep going.
Bobby, we got to do a local meetup over there then. What in
Minneapolis meetup.
film speakeasy in Minneapolis? Let's do it.
There's a really cool speakeasy I just went to.
Let's do it. All right.
Did you know our kids are hanging out together? Which brings us to here today, Mr. and Mrs. Colson.
Still see, can't get it out of my mind.
Ooh. That's a case where you blow out that background. As a person who lives in Minneapolis, what's your opinion on United Noodles, Bobby?
They probably make good noodles. I don't know.
Oh, you need to
probably don't want it in my wedding film though.
Give me a beat.
Maybe it's time to surrender. I'm ready to fall. Leaving it all behind. I'm ready to fall.
Your hopes are being fulfilled.
That's kind of a nice little
transition that
little
most
move.
might not pick up on. Yeah.
We welcome you to a loving partnership.
Why would you do that? Why would you make that face? Why would you do that? It's so dumb. I'm sorry. I should. I hate when groups do that stuff. They always do that stuff. I just want you to be cool, dude. Be cool. Here's the beat.
I really like. I don't like this. Well, whatever. I'll talk about this later.
There's some really nice shots, and I can't describe what's making me feel so weird about this film. I'm going to talk over this because there's nothing happening. So, it's like I'm watching. I don't know these people at all. And that's maybe what it is. It's like I don't have a sense of what the day was like or what's going on really. And there's a lot of really good shooting too. So I'm trying to like place what is making me feel weird. Like that's cool looking. You did a great job with this shot. A little high, but is it just music that I always have an issue with, Bobby?
Maybe. I don't think this is the right music for what we're seeing. At least parts of the film.
Am I just like do I just like hype music more than most people? Like
yeah, I mean you might, but like and I do too, but like that's not I don't know. Like that's not an issue or the issue or whatever.
Oh, see, even that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think what we like about this film is going to be pretty obvious, which is the shooting. There's a lot of really nice shots throughout the film.
I really like the opening. Maybe not where you put them or whatever, but like those opening shots of Bride and Groom solo, and then it's the same setup. I mean, I think it's your sunset stuff, right? Right after the ceremony, you have some shots of the bride and groom together in that light. I think you could have angled to try and gone closer, try and get rid of like a big sign that was in the background. But like that lighting was beautiful. You used it perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, there's a lot of tricky lighting situations too, and I think minus some kind of blue throughout the film that was kind of weird, maybe a style choice, but not my favorite.
I think that's a great example of taking more control. Like you maybe set yourself up for some of those tricky situations, shooting against windows and maybe the photographer controlled it, you know, which is not like wrong.
I mean, bottom line is it's very, very, very good looking shooting, and even some of the editing, like choose where he hit the music, how he chose to use the shots. I think the sound was not good in there, but I think. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't say the editing was a major problem with the wedding. So what about you? What did you like? Maybe we both covered it already, though.
Yeah, I feel like I covered it. I think, you have some nice looking shots, especially those kind of the shots I already brought up. There are points, where you use the music right. I think there's points where you use it not as right.
So let's talk about...
I don't feel like I have a great... sorry, that would be not a positive.
Well, let's just get into where they can improve, because I feel like this is a unique type of filmmaker where...
It's weird because I think I should have a lot more that I liked about it, because I think there was plenty that was done right.
Well, this is what I'll say. This is a very unique type of filmmaker who's got talent, and they're in ways a good cinematographer, and they know how to use their camera. But I think...
That's an awesome shot.
What we're dealing with is someone who maybe doesn't have the best couple to work with, which is part of the issue. Maybe not the best day, which can be part of the issue. And then didn't shoot close to enough B-roll to give themselves any kind of wiggle room. And so the edit ends up becoming and then using a song that wasn't the best and the audio. So I think it's like the other parts of the filmmaking, and the fact that he's a good shooter obviously is going to bode really well for him. So I think we can really help this person, Bobby. So why don't you talk about some things that you would think that will help them level up?
For sure. And Zach, I would love to know how long you've been shooting, or how many.
He said this is his sixth wedding, I think.
Oh wait, yeah, you're right. My bad.
So I told.
Okay,
him. There it is.
Yes. Okay, so things I didn't like. Your jump cuts are killing me, and they distract me in the edit. It doesn't matter if the shots are good. It doesn't matter if the shots are good or bad. If you're gonna jump cut, or like in this style, if it's like this really upbeat song and the jump cut like plays a role, I think it works. But here it does not work for me. And what this stems from is from you being a solo shooter with one camera, with one lens on a gimbal all day. And
that's probably true.
You need to ditch that. You need variety in your lens choices. There are some shots where that 35 works great. Like that 35
is he on a 35?
Lens. He's on a 35, and I think that's it. And it's a wonderful lens, but there are shots that you should not be doing on a 35 that you are doing. And then just like, and I harp on people about this, and people can have their own opinion, whatever. My opinion is you should not be on a gimbal 100% of the day. You can have a camera on a gimbal 100% of the day, but it shouldn't be your only camera.
The reason for that is not just because there's nothing wrong with the gimbal shot, but a gimbal shot is like, that's like saying, like, do you like hot sauce? Oh, I love hot sauce. Here's a meal of only hot sauce.
Well, like, it's like saying, oh, hot sauce, yeah, it goes on your sandwich, it goes on an apple, it goes like, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, there are times for other stuff.
It makes the actual hot sauce stand out though when it's more like scarcity is actually the spice of life.
Yep.
And when you give somebody like a little whiplash of like, we're locking down, we're going handheld, like we're gonna put, like, giving that kind of variety actually enhances the use of the gimbal, instead of just it becomes something where you're just like, you think like, is this film being shot by a ghost?
Well, what it comes down to is intentionality.
Yeah.
And you should be using your gimbal intentionally for shots that make sense. Or like, look, sometimes I grab my gimbal because it's like, oh shit, I gotta get coverage of the cake cutting or whatever. Like, whatever, this camera will work. But I don't really care about the cake cutting. So, but like, to be on it all day, I think is hurting you as a filmmaker, because you clearly understand your camera and you get some very nice looking footage, but it's hurting you. It's limiting the shots you get being on a 35 and a gimbal all day, and then it's hurting your edit because you're forcing. You probably don't have to do this. There's probably other ways around it, but you're doing all these jump cuts because of it. Justin Roth brings up a really good point though, and Jay, I'd love to hear your comment on this. He says, "Don't bash hot sauce with apples until you try it." So
I was gonna say
point.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I think hot sauce with apples would be good.
Yeah,
I think hot sauce on my I think it's more like you just this is what I'll say in terms of our current analogy. The presence of the citrus and sweetness from the apple is what enhances the hot sauce. And I will say the same thing with your gimbal. You're not wrong.
You should be on a gimbal all day.
You know, you're
hot
right.
Sauce should go on your apples.
No, you're right, because having the other elements highlights the gimbal. If you just drank hot sauce out of the bottle, that would be nasty.
That's a good point.
So-
All right, we like it. Okay, and then I'm also, and again, this is just me going on the gimbal stuff again. One of the things with you being on your gimbal all day, because look, I know there are some filmmakers who are on their gimbal all day, and I watch their film, I'm like, I really like that film. But one of the problems is I think you aren't totally using your gimbal right either. There's a lot of this there's a lot of unintentionality in your moves, I think, and then there's a lot of this you're moving, and I don't know if it's your settings on your gimbal or what, but it's jerking left, all of a sudden. It's just you're pushing in, and then it's boop, off to the left. And it's cut that stuff out, or figure out why it's happening, because it shouldn't be happening.
Or just get a camera on sticks and use that sometimes.
Or exactly. And
maybe
then
he
the only
will.
other thing that I wrote down, and actually I wrote this down as well, but I'm going to also bring up, because I think Ray Roman, I don't know what he said exactly, but somehow, and I had the same thought, which was I think it's up high. This edit felt like you just dove right in, there just wasn't an intro or something. It was just boom, we're in this wedding edit. If that makes any sense. I'm gonna try it while you. I would love to hear your thoughts if you feel that way.
No. Yeah, totally. It just so I'm a fan of starting with your best shots when it's clearly here is the beginning intro teaser section. I think this was. I don't like wedding films that are this slow throughout.
Yeah, Ray says needs an opening feel at the beginning.
I agree. It needs an opener, and the other thing is this is just my opinion, Bobby, but I also think this is good storytelling. So you don't need hype songs, you don't need teasers to get dynamics, but you need to know when you're creating something that's flat. And good storytelling is not flat. And we're fighting against the tide when it comes to that as wedding filmmakers, right? Because wedding filmmaking by nature is a flat narrative. It's if you went to watch a movie and the story was groom goes and gets ready and then he gets married and then it's this.
And he eats dinner.
And it's almost even worse. It's just this vertical, it gets better and better and better until it's absolute bliss. Good storytelling has tension. And we don't get nor should we be inserting a bunch of antagonists in our film or problems for them to solve or any of those ways that normal stories create this tension in the viewer. But one way you do it is by giving space in the film, by changing up the speed and direction, by not moving your camera the whole time and stopping from time to time. You create visual tension, you create auditory tension, you slow down and let someone talk. You're trying to rescue this film from its inherently flat narrative. And I think this film ends up becoming very flat. It doesn't give you any kind of dynamics like this throughout the film. And I think that's really what it is.
Yeah.
I like that shot though. That one of the city. That's a cool shot.
Yeah, Minneapolis skyline. Also, Aaron Analog saying missing establishing shots. Drone would be nice. There was drone. It was in the beginning. I don't think you have to start with one, but yeah, I think just kind of.
Oh, and you can't show this crap in the
I
background.
I'm speed ramping here. I didn't love that, but I don't really feel like I have any concept of this place called Glass House, and I've actually never shot there. I'm not familiar with it. I know it's in Minneapolis, but
I have no sense of who this couple was at all.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think those are all random shots or thoughts we have. Also, Aaron Analog, I believe, if he's the person I think he is also in Minneapolis. So we have The Minneapolis crew.
Minneapolis
in the chat, we're
folks,
taking
guys,
over.
we got to do a hangout. So let us know. We'll pull it together. We'll do something coming up in January.
Yeah, when it's at its coldest.
Yes.
And we're all miserable.
Well, that sounds good to me.
Exactly.
I have coats. So.
Yeah, well.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Bobby, any last stuff before we move on? Great film, by the way, and good filmmakers today.
So if you guys haven't checked it out already, last week we put out a behind the scenes video following Jared, who's not here today, although Jay was in the mix as well.
I was like standing there a couple times.
Yeah. At a high-end, luxury film on the East Coast. So you guys should check that out. Full day behind the scenes, an hour long, dive into a full wedding, see how he approaches it. And then last Friday, I mentioned I shot my last wedding, and we shot behind the scenes at that as well. And it was pure chaos. And it's going to be a good behind the scenes. It'll be ready in a while. Of course, these things take some time. But check out the BTS. We also released the film. We're also we checked out Jay's film from Colorado earlier in the stream, but that's gonna be released soon as well. And we're just gonna be editing, and we're going into a slightly slower season, so hopefully more content for you guys to come. And we will see you next Thursday for another wedding film review.
Now, Bobby, I don't actually have this stinking thing up, so you're gonna have to hit end on the show. But
I will end.
All right, guys.
the
See ya.
stream
Have an awesome day.
In 3, 2, 1. See ya.